Now, here's the position I'm in. Here's 10,000 whites coming to kill me. And in those 10,000, or let's say here's 10,000 rattlesnakes coming to bite me. And in those 10,000, there was 1,000 that didn't mean no harm. And I knew there was a good 1,000 snakes out there, but they all look alike. Now, what should I do? Should I keep the door open and let the 10,000 in, hoping that the 1,000 will unite and save me and one bite or kill me? Or should I just be safe and shut the door? So we have white people say, I mean right. I have a black husband. Oh, my children are black. I love everybody. I really believe you. But I'm sorry, man, there's 10 more thousand behind you that don't feel that way. I'm just sorry, but what am I going to do?
That personal. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
Charlie Kirk said, black on black crime is not an American problem. He said it's a black problem. Well, there tends to be a white on white crime problem in America that is not being dealt with. And we tried to come and pull up on this title right here to figure out why they won't deal with it. So with no further ado, let's see what these lack of accountability muffs have been up to.
Charlie Kirk got attacked by a white man named Taylor Robinson, and suddenly America went silent. No discussions about white-on-white crime, no panel discussions, no community accountability meetings. Funny how that works, right? Let me tell you something that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, but comfort was never the point of truth-telling. America has a white-on-white crime problem that nobody wants to discuss, and the silence is so loud it's deafening. You see what happened to Charlie Kirk? White conservative commentator gets physically attacked by Taylor Robinson, another white man, and what do we hear? Crickets. No calls for white community leaders to address the violence in their communities. No primetime specials about white-on-white crime statistics. No demands for white fathers to step up and control their sons. But let a black person so much as look sideways at a convenience store candy bar, and suddenly it's breaking news with helicopter footage and expert analysis about the culture of crime in black communities.
Moving forward, I can see black-on-black crime being a term that's eliminated out of our society because it's going to be deemed offensive.
Let's talk about the numbers they don't want you to see, because Layla always comes with the receipts. According to FBI crime statistics, white Americans commit the majority of crimes in this country. Not per capita, not proportionally, the raw numbers. We're talking about 69.4% of all arrests for violent crimes. When you break it down by specific crimes, white Americans account for 62.1% of aggravated assaults, 68.9% of SA, and 53.1% of homicides. But here's where it gets really interesting from a
Okay, AI math class, I can dig it. I could deal with this quality AI. I believe the information, well, whether it's factual or not, you can check it. It's well put together. Its quality is decent, easy to look at. I like this.
Psychological standpoint, when white people commit crimes against other white people, which happens in about 81% of white homicide cases, nobody calls it white-on-white crime. It's just crime, just individual bad actors, just mental health issues, just anything except a systemic problem that needs community-wide intervention. Meanwhile, when black Americans, who represent 14% of the population, commit crimes, suddenly it's a cultural epidemic that requires congressional hearings and social media think pieces about personal responsibility. The cognitive dissonance is staggering, but it's not accidental. It's strategic. Let's dive deeper into the numbers that make people squirm. School shootings. You know, those weekly occurrences that have become so normalized we barely flinch anymore. Since Columbine in 1999, we've had over 350 school shootings in America. The overwhelming majority of these shooters, white males, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Parkland, Uvalde, Oxford High School, Covenant School. I could keep going, but you get the picture. These aren't isolated incidents by troubled individuals. This is a pattern. This is a trend. This is, by their own definition when applied to black communities, a cultural problem that requires immediate intervention. But watch how the narrative shifts. When a white teenager shoots up his school, we get deep dives into his mental health struggles, his family dynamics, his social media posts. We get expert psychologists explaining trauma and bullying and the pressures of modern society. We get calls for better mental health resources and anti-bullying programs. When a black teenager gets caught with marijuana, we get lectures about personal responsibility and the breakdown of family values. The double standard is so brazen it would be comedic if it wasn't deadly serious. Here's what really gets me from a strategic standpoint. America's obsession with black-on-black crime is a masterclass in deflection psychology. It's like a house on fire pointing fingers at the neighbor's garden weeds while they're busy analyzing why black communities have violence. Violence that directly correlates with decades of systematic disinvestment, discriminatory lending practices, educational apartheid, and economic exclusion. They're completely ignoring the fact that their own communities are literally imploding. Let's talk about those policies they created that manufactured black-on-black crime statistics, redlining that concentrated poverty, the war on drugs that turned street corners into battlefields, three-strikes laws that removed fathers from homes, school-to-prison pipelines that criminalized childhood. Every single
I know that ain't supposed to be sign language. What is that going on up there?
one of these policies was designed, implemented, and maintained by white legislators, white judges, white prosecutors, and white police chiefs. They created the conditions for desperation, then act shocked when desperation produces desperate actions. But here's the part that really exposes the game. While they're busy playing sociologist with black communities, analyzing our every move like we're specimens in a lab, their own communities are drowning in opioid addiction, domestic terrorism, mass shootings, and what any honest observer would call cultural breakdown. The opioid crisis alone has unalived over 500,000 Americans, predominantly in white communities. That's more deaths than the entire Vietnam War. But instead of community accountability sessions and calls for white leadership to address the crisis, we get pharmaceutical executives testifying before Congress about addiction being a disease that requires treatment, not punishment. Interesting how addiction
Her being AI just gave me a thought. Y'all ever seen these automatic pizza machines at my job? I ain't never seen nobody use it, and I think it's an unspoken rule. You better not use it. I think it's like crossing the picket line because we fight automation down at my job in general. But they got a machine you go put some money in, and it's Pizza Hut. Ain't nobody in there. It's gonna make you a pizza. Oh my mama. And you don't even need no money. You can just tap your phone. You can beep, 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 and it's gonna make you a pizza, man. When you stop and think about it, like, okay, not hard to believe that that's in existence, but it's still crazy. Won't touch down till we living like the Jetsons.
becomes a medical issue when it affects white suburbia, but a criminal justice issue when it affects black inner cities. The domestic terrorism numbers are even more telling. According to the FBI, white supremacist violence accounts for the majority of domestic terrorist incidents in America. We're talking about El Paso, Pittsburgh, Charlottesville, Buffalo, systematic attacks on communities of color by white perpetrators radicalized in predominantly white spaces. But somehow, this never gets framed as white on everybody else crime that requires white community intervention. Let me break down the media psychology here, because this is where it gets really strategic. When white crime happens, it gets individualized. Lone wolf, mental health crisis, isolated incident. The coverage focuses on the perpetrator's personal struggles, family background, and societal pressures that might explain their actions. When black crime happens, it gets culturalized. Gang violence, community.
You know what I just noticed about AI speaking? They don't have to breathe. So it's just a constant, consistent flow of words coming out, information.
Problem, cultural breakdown. The coverage focuses on systemic issues within black communities that supposedly create criminal behavior. This framing isn't accidental. It's designed to maintain a narrative where white criminality is an aberration that requires understanding and treatment, while black criminality is a predictable outcome of cultural deficiency that requires punishment and containment. The business model of American media depends on this narrative. Crime coverage drives ratings, and nothing drives ratings like reinforcing existing prejudices. A black shoplifter gets more airtime than a white embezzler stealing millions because one reinforces comfortable stereotypes while the other challenges them. Here's where the psychological manipulation gets really sophisticated. By constantly highlighting black crime while downplaying white crime, media creates a perception distortion that makes white Americans feel both superior and victimized simultaneously. They get to feel morally superior to black communities while also feeling like victims of black crime, despite statistically being more likely to be victimized by someone who looks like them. It's brilliant marketing psychology, even if it's morally bankrupt. But let's talk about what this deflection is really costing America, because the price tag is astronomical. While America obsesses over black-on-black crime, which affects roughly 13% of the population, they're ignoring white-on-white crime patterns that affect the majority of Americans. Mass shootings cost the economy billions in security measures, trauma counseling, and lost productivity. The opioid crisis has devastated entire regions, leaving communities economically hollow. Domestic violence in white communities, which accounts for the majority of domestic violence cases simply due to population size, costs the economy over $8 billion annually in healthcare, legal, and social services. But instead of addressing these issues with the same urgency they demand for black communities, America chooses distraction and deflection. From a strategic standpoint, this is political malpractice of the highest order. You cannot solve problems you refuse to acknowledge, and America's refusal to address white-on-white crime is literally unaliving people and destroying communities. Here's the part that should terrify every thinking American. While you're busy pointing fingers at black communities, your own communities are falling apart, and you don't even see it because you're too busy looking the other way. Rural white communities have higher self-demise.
Wait, shh. Hold on, baby. Don't let them go on and fall apart. Don't pull that coat.
Rates than urban black communities. White teenagers are more likely to die from gun violence at school than black teenagers. White women are more likely to be unalived by intimate partners than black women are to be unalived by strangers. These aren't talking points.
That's a cold one right there. More unalive to be more likely to be unalived by intimate partner than black women are by strangers. You're sleeping with the enemy.
These are facts that should demand immediate action and community intervention. But here's what really exposes the game. When black communities started implementing their own solutions to address violence, suddenly those solutions became problems. Community policing became vigilantism, neighborhood watches became militancy, economic development became reverse racism. Meanwhile, when white communities implement the exact same strategies, they're called community engagement and grassroots organizing. The pattern is clear. America doesn't actually want to solve crime. It wants to maintain a narrative where black crime justifies white supremacy, while white crime gets explained away as individual pathology. Let me address America directly here because somebody needs to have this conversation. While you're worried about us, you're imploding from within. Your schools are becoming war zones. Your children are dying from preventable overdoses. Your communities are being torn apart by domestic terrorism committed by your own people. Your families are being destroyed by violence perpetrated by people who share your zip code, your background, your culture. You cannot blame us for any of this because we're not in control. We don't run the schools, the hospitals, the courts, the police departments, the legislative bodies, or the media outlets. We don't control the policies that shape communities or the resources that determine outcomes. You are in control, and the results speak for themselves. Maybe, and I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe if you spent half the energy addressing your own crime statistics that you spend analyzing ours, you might actually solve some problems instead of just creating new ones.
Yo, she just had a little attitude. AI got an attitude. I was snazzy.
Maybe if you treated white-on-white crime with the same urgency you demand for black-on-black crime, those 500,000 overdose deaths might have been prevented. Maybe those school shootings would have stopped after Columbine instead of becoming a weekly occurrence. Maybe if you stopped using black communities as a distraction from your own community breakdown, you might actually save some lives in your own neighborhoods. But that would require something America has never been good at, looking in the mirror and taking responsibility for what you see. The truth is, America's obsession with black crime is a psychological coping mechanism to avoid dealing with white crime. It's easier to point fingers at the minority population than to confront the reality that the majority population is struggling with the same issues you claim are uniquely black problems. Violence, addiction, family breakdown, educational failure, economic desperation, these aren't black problems or white problems. They're American problems that manifest differently depending on resources, opportunities, and systematic treatment. But America would rather maintain comfortable lies than confront uncomfortable truths. Here's the bottom line.
She just glitched like a motherfucker. That was funny. Yeah, I know it wasn't that funny, but that was funny. She glitched like a motherfucker.
Line from someone who sees the game clearly. America's refusal to address white-on-white crime isn't just hypocritical, it's unaliving people.
Is it weird that she kind of fine though? I know it is weird, but this is day I can't help it. She fine.
Cannot ignore the majority of your crime problem while obsessing over a minority of it and expect positive outcomes. The numbers don't lie, even when the narrative does. Until America stops using black communities as a distraction from white community problems, both communities will continue suffering from preventable violence, preventable addiction, and preventable breakdown. The choice is yours, America. You can keep.
Oh yeah, females, y'all in trouble. They finna start putting them little things that they be buying. Just think, it's the new blow up doll. Oh my goodness.
Pointing fingers while your house burns down, or you can.
Hey yo, Shark. Hey, you fit to be on, P. Oh, they can't fuck with you now. You can program her to say whatever you want her to say. She ain't gonna say none of that you don't want to hear. She only gonna say it when you want her to say it. Oh my mama.
Grab a fire extinguisher and start putting out your own fires. But don't expect Black America to keep playing the role of your convenient distraction while you refuse to address the problems you created and the violence you ignore. We see what you're doing, and we're not buying it anymore. The question is, what are you going to do when you run out of people to blame for problems you refuse to solve? That's the conversation America doesn't want to have, but it's the conversation America desperately needs. Truth-telling was never about comfort. It was about survival. And right now, America's deflection strategy is threatening everyone's survival. Time to look in the mirror, America. The reflection might shock you, but it's the only way forward. This is Layla. Keeping it real when keeping it fake is literally unaliving people. Wake up.
On the turf, Lil Box and Lil Merc. Not a gang of birds, but the third served the Lil work. Sticky shit, every time he lit his big. Politicking with his clique, trying to hit the biggest lick. Problem with the hood, we gon' have to see to that. It was Baby Jinx, Tiny D, me and Black. To be from EC, can't explain how it felt to me. Lil BT nicknamed himself Looney. With Big Wine on the 5, getting hella faded. Heard that nigga ain't survived, so we celebrated. On a mission with the homies, or if by my lonely. Niggas know me, always got the pistol on me. Shot his way on the set, they ain't quote him on. Never lied, every lyric you can quote him on. Diamond shining, rhyming with my rollie on. Money long, kinda like a Coleon.
I remember when the nigga first got turned out. I remember crocodile blood in the blood out. I remember coming up in the stove game. Now niggas only know about this whole game. I remember when the nigga first got turned out. I remember crocodile blood in the blood out. I remember coming up in the stove game. I remember.
My mama, some shit you just can't forget. Like some of the young niggas used to claim to sit. Same time, some of the homies used to bang young. To this day, me and Herb trade the same guns. East side, niggas know about that 7 gang. Central to San Pedro, sold up on everything. You ain't heard, 93rd to the Sin. Ain't nothing new, neighborhood, this what it been. All the Sherm homies hitting in the hood. Fuck the function off soon to get to getting good. A party ain't a party without a little drama. In the parking lot hollering at Lil Mama. Say my name next to Johnny Ray, Baby Dre. Soul 1 and 2, Big Snake from 88th. For death though, I died for I surrender. Shit was evil on the east side, I remember
when the nigga first got turned out. I remember crocodile blood in the blood out. I remember coming up in the stove game. Now niggas only know about this whole game. I remember when the nigga first got turned out. I remember crocodile blood in the blood out. I remember coming up in the stove game. I remember.
Live in a country where a man fucked a porn star while his wife was pregnant and he was still elected president. You live in a country where a man transitioned to become a woman after winning a decathlon in 1980, and then after doing so, runs over someone, kills them, runs over a second person, and 4 months later is named Woman of the Year. You live in a country where a man spends 15 months in prison for securities fraud. In a movie they make about him, he punches his wife in the stomach and then kidnaps his own child. And all of you love that movie because I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. It's The Wolf of Wall Street. Who is the face of prison reform in the United States? Who is it? It's Kim Kardashian, who made a tape, is the face of prison reform. If you don't believe me, Google right now Kim Kardashian standing next to President Trump having legislation signed while she's in the Oval Office. She made a tape where she was having with Ray J, and now she's getting legislation passed, and you're worried about a meme that you're supposed to post.
Wasn't that personal? Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.